Call the meeting to order. I'd ask you to join us with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Tonight's consent agenda consists of the following items. A, approve the minutes of the following City Council work session December 20th, City Council regular meeting December 20th, City Council work session January 3rd, City Council regular meeting January 3rd. Item B, accept a Mid-Minnesota Community Enhancement Grant from the Mid-Minnesota Development Commission in the amount of $3,000 to be used toward the purchase of a grass rake for the Winston Volunteer Fire Department. Item C, authorize David Drawn Associates Human Resources Incorporated to conduct a new search and administer a hiring process for city administrator in the city of Winston at no additional cost to the city. Item D, approve the claims list for February 2023. That's the consent agenda. Somebody make a motion?
Mr. Mayor, a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I guess I have more of the consent agenda, huh? Or is this new items?
All new business.
All new business.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Under new business, Winston Baseball Association Improvement Agreement and Final Payout. Adam?
Sure. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. This evening we have representatives from the Winston Baseball Association joining us. They are here to present us payment, their final payment, which is early, on a previous agreement that we had in place with the Baseball Association to cover improvements to Dennis Campbell Field. So Matt and Dennis, do you want to come up to the podium and kind of describe that project a little bit, maybe the history of the project and where we're at today with this final payment?
Hello, everyone. I'm Matt Rogie, Chairman of the Board of the Winston Baseball Association, and here to present the check to you guys. In the agreement, we did a bunch of projects. We built the wall, that blue wall that's down the third baseline. I'm not sure if you're too familiar with it, but did some projects there. We put in irrigation system, a sprinkler system. We put up a new fence line, and then yes, just kind of some overall field improvements. The reason why for this was we hosted a big regional tournament. I have some numbers. We ran it over this past August. There was over 3,000 people that attended the tournament in 8 days, and that was kind of a big money maker for us as a association. So with that being said, yeah, we just kind of wanted to ask you guys and thank you guys for trusting us with that loan and kind of letting you know that we are trying to make improvements to the field, and we got some more on the docket. So there'll be some future meetings possibly with the city council or the park board.
Sure.
So with the improvements, is it possible to secure a regional tournament again?
Yeah, so the regional tournament in our league goes on a cycle. Every 15 years we'll host it.
Okay.
So within this agreement, the city of Winston contributed about 60% to the cost. The Baseball Association contributed about 40% in broad numbers, but ultimately the Baseball Association paid for well over $40,000 of these improvements. Although it was structured over a 7-year loan to the city of Winston from our general fund. Again, they made all their payments on time and made them early, as this evening indicates. So they've been great partners in making these capital improvements to ultimately city of Winston property. You know, that field is owned by the city of Winston, and we were able to partner with them to make both contribute public dollars and then these private dollars to that improvement. So it was a great project, displayed a great partnership with this group, and they continue to be great stewards of that city property, in their efforts with that baseball club. Thank you, gentlemen, for that.
So with this last payment, you breathe a little easier now, huh?
Yeah. Yep. Now. Yep. Exactly.
Sure. What, you mentioned some potential future improvements. what are we brainstorming? What could that look like potentially?
We have some ideas of putting more seating up along the hill. Over the regional tournament, that was kind of more of a standing area. If we could do some sort of, bleacher, wooden structure, deck type thing, that's kind of in the future. We replaced the third base dugout a year ago, and then now the future is trying to get replace the first base dugout also.
I don't know if any of our council members have taken in a baseball game at Delano Municipal Field, but that field kind of sets the standard to what amateur baseball can look like. And again, it's worth noting that it's not only the amateur people that use it, or our amateur baseball club, but also HLWW High School also plays their home varsity and junior varsity baseball games there as well. So it is used throughout the summer, as well as the different Babe Ruths and different junior leagues as well.
Yep. They also, the Howard Lake Waverly Winston School will be playing there, and then also practicing there. So every single day, and from April on, it'll be getting used. So
right. And again, just the numbers displayed by the regional tournament, kind of shows us our return on our investment and bringing those activities to our businesses here in Winstead.
Well, thank you very much.
well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Sure, then he takes the check.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Guys. Next item is the recommended 2023 City Council priorities. Adam?
Sure. On January 11th, 2023, the City Council conducted its annual goal-setting retreat. In addition to providing the council an opportunity to review the status of certain programs and projects, the retreat serves as the occasion for the council to establish a series of annual outcome-based goals known as City Council priorities, as well as identify other high-priority projects for the purpose of directing city resources. Generally speaking, these priorities are established using the following guidelines. It must be accomplishable within 1 year, consistent with the adopted positions of the City Council, and under the direct control of City Council or City staff. Importantly, the priorities guide the efforts of City staff and consultants, as well as provide a measure of their performance. As such, City staff presents status updates to the City Council regularly to review progress against predetermined quarterly milestones, allowing the council to make more informed decisions of the high priority programs and projects, specifically concerning the allocation of city resources. As referenced in the recommended 2023 priorities within the attached document, there are currently 15 priorities and then 5 listed annual priorities, which city staff will report on throughout the next year using a traffic light system to understand the general progress of each individual priority. At present, the city staff plans to present Q1 2023 priorities and updates at the April 18th regular city council meeting. Based on thorough review during the retreat, city staff recommends the council adopt the recommended 2023 priorities. Please note that no specific priority or none of the priorities will have a specific impact on the budget or final financial position of the city. Rather, those impacts will be made, or those decisions will be determined later at a later date by the city council. So just because a project's on that priority list doesn't mean it's approved. Those approvals still need to come forward to the city council, and at that time, the impact will be made to the budget or to the financial position of the city. With that being said, are there any questions for me on this council agenda item?
Is this something you'll review with the new administrator?
I will. I'll review the entire process as well as where we're at for 2023.
Any other questions for Adam? If not, looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the recommended 2023 City Council priorities.
Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Well, second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item is the County State Aid Highway CSAH 5 Extension Project Wetland Permit Application. Adam, you want to start us off?
Sure. This agenda item is kind of our next step in progressing forward with our County Road 5 extension project. I've asked Josh Eckstein of Bolton and Mink to join us this evening to go through the details of this request. Mr. Eckstein?
Evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. As part of the County Road 5 extension project, the proposed roadway will impact wetlands between County Road 9 and County Road 1 along that planned corridor alignment. The impacts are unavoidable and necessary to construct the roadway as intended. The associated impacts and costs have been anticipated and planned for since the concept of the project. So we did have these costs included with the estimates that we've presented so far. The final numbers are actually a little bit below what our estimates were, so that's good. So in order to mitigate for the impact that that's going to be done by the roadway, we completed a wetland replacement plan, and as part of that plan, it lays out that we have 2.33 acres worth of impact, and that we have to purchase 3.88 credits to cover our impact from a established wetland bank. The total cost for the 3.88 credits comes to $280,500.72. And as we negotiated with the county, the split between the county and the city is 82% county, 18% city. So it comes to approximately $50,000 of city cost as part of this. Has it up there? Yeah. So the majority of the wetland impact is that wetland in the center there, just off the east end of the existing pavement, and then there is a small little section that we're going to be impacting where the recycling center is going to be. So, any questions on that?
So again, the reason I wanted to have this in front of the city council is because we're starting to incur additional expenses as part of this project. That now again, these are planned expenses; they're part of our planned budget for the project. And as Josh mentioned, we're actually under budget on this particular item. But again, I want to make sure the city council is okay with moving forward with this. We did reaffirm it with McLeod County, and they are continuing to move forward on their end. Again, for authorization on this agenda item this evening.
I'll make a motion to authorize the County State Aid Highway 5 Extension Project Wetland Permit application.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
A motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Now, Josh, I didn't catch, did you talk about the credits as well as part of your presentation?
Yeah, I did mention both. So, right,
Okay.
there is two components to this. First was that application wetland permit, which needs signatures by the city. And then the second component of that is the actual payment to the bank, which is a separate entity. But it's kind of all one project, but two different steps.
So we will need a second motion this evening to proceed.
To pay $50,000.
Yeah, ultimately, that is our cost. Is that correct, Josh?
Correct. Yep.
Right.
$50,490.13 is the associated share for the city.
Now, do understand that we are managing this project, and so we'll be making the payment from the city of Winston first, and then the Cloud County will reimburse us after the expenses have been incurred. Just to make sure we're clear on that. They'll reimburse us their portion of the expense after the cost has been incurred.
So do you want the motion to,
As written.
As written. Yep.
item number C?
D.
It's D.
D. Okay, the North Fork Crow River Mitigation Bank.
Right.
Yep.
All right. I'd make a motion to authorize the interim city administrator to execute a North Fork Crow River Mitigation Bank agreement with Burns and McDonnell Engineering Company, Incorporated, to purchase and sell wetland credits for the County State Aid Highway 5 Extension Project, and further authorize a payment for the purchase in the amount of $271,600 and the payment of withdrawal fees in the amount of $8,972.
We have a motion. Looking for a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item E, County State Highway 5
Sure.
Extension Project Procurement of Easements. Adam?
Sure. Another item regarding, or in conjunction with the same project, being the County State Aid Highway Extension Project, is the acquisition of a roadway drainage utility easement with the property owner on the east side, County Road 9. Now, finally, my GIS is catching up with what I want. I think. Gosh, maybe not. But ultimately, this project has a planned turn lane associated with it. So we have been working with the adjacent property owner to acquire this easement agreement. Josh, do you want to kind of describe that a little bit more?
If you make it.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. As part of the County Road 5 project, actually, the largest item that we're currently working on are roadway easements. We have 7 different easements between 2 different property owners and the city of Winsted ongoing in kind of negotiations. The one on the east side of the road
Is this good enough figure to show that, Josh, or not?
Yep, I think that should show it. So that dashed line that's farthest east there, that shows the potential easement. We're still discussing it with the property owner, so nothing's final yet. But that would represent a 50-foot wide easement from the center line of the road, which is what the county will be looking for in the future and what is needed right now in order to build the bypass lane. So as part of the County Road 5 project, we're going to build a bypass lane which will allow trucks that are making a left-hand turn not to completely stop the traffic for the northbound movement. So they'll be able to move over past the truck or the car taking the left on the bypass lane. It'll make it a much safer intersection. But in order to construct that, we need an easement from the property owner, so we're in negotiations currently with them on that.
Sure. Now and the reason I wanted to include this in the agenda, because this is an easement that initially we weren't anticipating, but in the process of designing the project, McLeod County has insisted on this turn lane. So again, we started this negotiation with the property owner in November, December, somewhere in there, and by all indication is that we'll be able to get this easement acquired. We used the same calculation that we used for the acquisition of easements with the property owner on the west side of County Road 9. So ultimately, it's a very minimal cost. What's going to be in it, I don't think we don't have those figures in here, I don't think. Or are they in there? Yeah, it looks like it's going to be $3,726, this easement. Oh, excuse me. Total going to be $5,686. So again, at this point, we're just going to review it. We're just here to review and discuss this. If this is something the council is against, this additional easement, please speak up this evening. But again, note that this was not included in our initial project estimates. This acquisition. Correct, Mr.
Correct.
Eckstein?
Yep.
It still is covered
It-
by the 81% or 82%. And
Yes.
Yes, it's still covered by the same split. So again, we'll be responsible for the 20% of this $5,000 ultimately.
Can you show us on there where the brush site will be?
Yeah, certainly. This slide might ultimately planned road here is in gray. There'll be a road to the south here that'll connect into our sewer plant or wastewater treatment facility. Then on the east side of this southbound road will be access into the organic recycling site, or the brush site, more commonly known as. So we'll be taking advantage of all this property in this area for that site. For the organic recycling, we still have recycling for appliances, etc. And all that is still planned to be gated. It currently is. And then we'll have an additional site there that will be ungated for the county's recyclable materials for our agreement. So we'll want ours manned the way we always have, and then the counties will be unmanned. Like they have their current.
We'll have a fence around the city's brush site portion like we currently have. Yep.
When you say counties, so like
Yeah.
Glencoe has a cardboard recycling, is that
Correct.
what this is?
That's what's planned here, that they'll have those same dumpsters and stuff available for county-wide recycling of glass, plastics,
We're-
cardboard, etc. Because they've been looking to find somewhere in eastern McLeod County for county residents to have those recycling opportunities
It's for
And-
the rural
for rural recycling.
rural counties.
But ultimately, it can be used. Anybody can use it in McLeod County.
Sure.
And so, as part of our negotiations with McLeod County to do this project, we committed to providing a site for that activity.
They've been after us for like 5-6 years now.
I think that's a win.
Right.
I won't have to take my cardboard over to Glencoe anymore, so.
Right.
We told them that it would be contingent upon this project many years ago, and before we even knew we had a project. We just didn't have a place.
So again, is there any questions for Mr. Eckstein or myself regarding procurement of easements for this bypass lane specific?
You don't anticipate any problems, do you?
No, we're just working through a couple of questions the property owner has, but
Okay.
don't really anticipate an issue.
Right. Then we hope to schedule a closing on both this item as well as the other easements on the west side of County Road 9 as part of the project here, hopefully in February.
Yeah, late February, maybe early March.
So again,
Any other questions for Josh or Adam? If not, we'll move on to the department report. Josh, just stay there. I think you're up.
Me, yeah. Convenient. All right. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'll go through some of the items that the engineering department's been up to over the past year and kind of into 2023. We'll get started with the airport items. The 2022 project to construct the new taxi lane was completed this last summer, substantially completed. There is still a number of items, punch list work, final payment, grant closeouts, and different things that'll be happening with that this spring to kind of wrap it all up and finalize that project. So that was one that was ongoing through this summer. The 23 project is currently kind of ongoing. We are soliciting quotes from suppliers to replace the snow blower and tractor that's currently out there to replace that. So we'll get quotes on that upcoming and present those. And that again is just a 5% local match for that work. It's not anticipated that we'll have a 24 project for the airport. And then in 25 and 26, we'll be designing and constructing the new hangars that'll go adjacent to the taxi lane that was installed this summer. So that's kind of the outlook for the airport moving forward. Move on to County Road 5. Couple of items here. So we did receive a Teddy grant application, an amount of $750,000 in total for the project. That's not new. Kind of more recently, though, we did negotiate that split with the county, so it's split 50-50 towards the city, towards this county. So that was a good item for the city. Verbal agreement has been reached, like we kind of just talked about with the property acquisitions. Like I mentioned, we do have 7 different easements that we're working on right now. 2 different property owners, and then with the city to dedicate right away for the roadway. MnDOT plan review is currently in process. We just submitted the final set of plans late last week to MnDOT for them to review. They've been through them once already, so I don't anticipate that'll take too long. I think we'll have comments back from them maybe late this week and wrap up that process. That'll basically make the project shovel-ready. We'll have a set of plans that'll be approved and ready to go. We just need to clear the easement issue or the easement hurdle, and then go out and solicit quotes. So, or get competitive bids, and then we'll be back to present the bids. And there'll be a couple more steps yet before construction, but we're hopeful we'll get things, keep things moving.
And then Josh, the reason for the MnDOT plan review, that's a requirement of the grant dollars that we received. That's why MnDOT's reviewing our plans. Otherwise, if we hadn't received those state funds, it wouldn't have required the MnDOT review. Is that correct?
That's correct. It might be likely that the county would want the review, but right,
Okay.
it's necessity because of the grant dollars. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Into a little bit on the schedule. So like I mentioned, we're working on those easement acquisitions February and late February, early March timeframe. We have been in discussions with the adjacent property owners, and we'll continue to be kind of talking with them here in February. Bids, we're looking at April, May timeframe, and hopefully award maybe late May, early June timeframe for award for them. Kind of set us up for construction in July or early August. And the plan is for this summer, we'll be doing the soil correction. So through that wetland work, or the wetland area that we talked about, we'll need to remove the soft soils within that wetland and put in sand and some better soils to actually build a road over. And then we'll be doing general site grading. So we'll be moving dirt around on the site to prep the roadway. And then we'll be putting down the Class 5 and doing the city utilities, so the sewer and water extensions that are planned for the project, as well as the storm sewer for the roadway. So those items will be completed in '23 is the goal, with nothing happening on County Road 9 because of the Highway 7 and County Road 1 detour. We're staying off of County Road 9 in '23 to allow the detour traffic to come through there. Really isn't going to affect the County Road 5 project at all. And then in '24, then we'll be working on the County Road 9 turn lanes and closing County Road 9 and setting up a detour for a couple of months, as well as then the concrete and the rest of the items for County Road 5. That'll be completed in '24. So that's kind of the staging of the project. Stretched out a little bit, and I think it'll help too with this, reduce the settlement and such that we'll see on the roadway. To leave it sit over the winter with just Class 5 gravel on it, it should help quite a bit, give us a more stable roadway. I think that kind of covers my County Road 5 steps. Any other questions on that? As Adam mentioned, we're kind of leading that as the cities. So we're able to kind of work around different city activities and schedule that way. So it's been a positive thing for the city. Then I'll move on to the 22 mill and overlay project. So we did complete mill and overlay of Pheasant Run and the Winstead on the Lake neighborhood this summer. I think that went pretty well. We kind of hit the major items that needed to be worked on out there, which is the asphalt paving and some of the curb and gutter and a few of the storm sewer related items. I think it was money well spent. You know, we were able to recondition the pavement, recondition some of that curb and gutter that had some pretty major settlements in the storm sewer, and get us back to a great product that, you know, it's going to last for 50 years with the right maintenance, without having to do a full blown reconstruct on it. So I think it was done timely and spent the money in the right way for those neighborhoods to bring them back up to current standard for pavement condition. So that project was substantially complete this fall, and the contract is still open until spring. We'll be doing turf restoration and some landscaping and some different things for punch list this spring. Well, number 5. So we're currently, we've completed a water study to address some deficiencies in the water system within the city of Winstead. And we're looking at potentially drilling another well. At the annual goal setting workshop, it was decided to kind of look at potentially putting in a Mount Simon well, which is kind of that deeper aquifer, and that we should kind of keep it as close as we can to Hanlon Park, which is where the water tower currently sits. So we're currently looking at what city properties are available within approximately 1,500 feet of Hanlon Park, and those would all be potential sites for the well. So we're kind of just putting a big picture map together to discuss what the appropriate location could potentially be for that well. And then the work in 23 will include potentially a test well, a site selection, and the rest of the design that needs to go into developing the well, and then planning for construction of the well in 24. We've got a year of planning and then a year of construction. And as part of that, we'll be pursuing PFA financing. Winsted on the Lake water quality project. So we did obtain some grant funds from McLeod County, or partner with McLeod County, to do a wetland restoration project. The goal here would be to kind of clean up the runoff, clean up the surface water prior to it entering the Winsted Lake. So that's the overarching goal, and that we did get some, again, grant dollars to do this work. It includes restoration of an existing wetland that's kind of north of Pheasant Run, or north of Shady Creek Drive, sorry, and next to the Pheasant Run Pond. And so it's essentially going to just block up or add a little bit more water to this wetland complex. They're going to do a little bit of grading and shaping to make it function a little bit more or better. And that'll treat and kind of clean the water before it ends up in the ditch and then ultimately in the lake. So there has been an agreement executed with the county for the payment of the project. We did sign a conservation easement over the wetland, which gives the county the right to come in and do some inspections and maybe some future maintenance. Kind of a standard procedure for them since they're paying for most of it. We're currently in process of putting the plans together, and when those are complete, we will work with the county to kind of go back and forth, make sure we've got everything included in the plan that they want to see, and then we'll be going out for quotes, and construction is slated for this summer, 2023 this summer. I guess we'll mention that we're gonna discuss and update the Lake Association on the schedule and the project as well. Couple of miscellaneous items. The GIS web-based mapping system. So that's kind of something that we've been developing over the last couple of years. It's been, I guess, great from an engineering standpoint. I think from the city staff standpoint as well, we use it from anywhere from locating utilities to pulling address mapping or pulling addresses for mass mailers, all kinds of different things. But the idea is that it's kind of a living, breathing document, so we can update this real time. And I've explained to the staff that anytime they're out in the field doing anything and they notice that the map isn't right with reality, they'll just make a note, quick note, send me an email. We update it, and then it's good, you know. So we're kind of developing this map over time as we go.
So, for example, I know 3 new council members haven't seen this. We have software available now at the staff level to show all of our utilities, at our fingertips versus on a paper map. This has been an extreme important tool for the staff, obviously our public works staff, but even for administrative staff on the planning and zoning side. Let's say we need to send out notices of a public hearing to everybody within 500 feet of a selected parcel. This software allows us to do that and pulls up that information for us, the mailing information. So, I mean, it has multiple facets. We're just exploring different ways we can use it. every day ultimately, but it certainly allows us to be much more efficient. And most importantly, our return on investment is now that we can do our own locates for our utilities. Previously, we paid a company to do that. With having the software available to our staff does those locates now to protect our utilities versus a private company. I think we've already realized our return on investment in just 2 years. Again, so that's what the GIS software is that Mr. Eckstein mentioned in his up. Sorry, Josh.
No problem. And it's been great for the engineering department as well, because we use it for the utility, just putting together generic sets of plans to look at where we may have deficiencies. And the next item on here, the 6th Street Trail, we did complete a preliminary layout for a new trail on the east side of the roadway. The next kind of step there is to talk about this plan with the county, make sure that they're on board. 6th Street is a county road. And then we're going to coordinate those potential efforts with their upcoming 2025 concrete overlay project. So likely we would wait till 24 to try to get grant dollars through the local trails program and kind of set that up for 25 construction along with that county project that's going through town. So we probably won't do too much with that in 23. We'll just kind of keep it on the radar and discuss it with the county, and then 24 we'd move forward with that grant application and then for implementation into that county project. So that would be a trail / sidewalk on the east side of County Road 1. Drainage issues, there's a number of different drainage issues. We have kind of evaluated 5 different locations throughout town, and we've selected, I guess you could call it 2.5, maybe 3 of them that we're going to package together into a small drainage project that we'll try to get completed this summer. So that memo, I'm going to kind of put everything together into a memo that'll be forthcoming. You'll see what the plan is for taking care of 2 to 3 different of the ongoing drainage issues throughout town, and we'll set it up for probably a late summer construction of those items. The Herald Journal Services project, that one's ongoing, so that's installing sewer and water main along the south side of Main Avenue, extending west of County Road 1 in order to serve the Herald Journal building, which currently does not have sewer and water, and they're not able to be currently served. So as part of that project, then the service lines will be extended to their building and connected to their building. I will be getting quotes hopefully by the end of the week for that. Then the next step will be to evaluate the costs with the Herald Journal and come to an agreement with a memo of understanding where they'll sign it and agree to pay their share, which will be the services from the south side of the road all the way to their building. So once we have that agreement in place, then I'll bring those quotes to the council to authorize construction that work. And then we'll get started with that in the spring. Grass Lake Farm Development, we're in coordination with the developer. They submitted plans. We have reviewed that plan and have some comments for them, and we're kind of setting ourselves up for discussion at the February 13th Planning Commission meeting. So those are kind of ongoing discussions. And then the wastewater treatment facility, we did some flow monitoring, reviewed some previous design, and kind of put together some notes as far as pump replacement within that facility. So those pumps have been ordered, and we will set a replacement date here forthcoming. I think that takes me to the end of the list. Any questions? Quite a few items. There's some that aren't even on here. So
I might be good to go. Nothing for Josh. Then we'll move on.
Thank you, Josh.
I have one question. regarding the Grass Lake development, and the Herald Journal, is it possible that that sewer line will need to go further west to accommodate that new part of the development?
No, the existing sewer and water services run through the development and are already installed that far
And-
west.
Okay.
In other words, we don't need to extend them down Main Avenue. They're built in within the development to the west edge of the development. Adam,
So, yeah, so, Jeff, if you look at the map up here, what's in green is sanitary sewer. And you can see that the sanitary sewer ultimately flows, through Westgate. So it's not, and that there's enough capacity for future development to go through there as well. So the sewer extension here by the Herald Journal to the south, would not impact or would not benefit anything with the Grass Lake Farms development. That kind of makes sense. And then two, on top of that, from the water perspective, so sanitary sewer is in green, water is in blue. So water is fed again through Westgate, and then as well as it's looped then just to the south here by Dollar General. There's your two access points to that development. There's enough capacity with those two pipes to serve west of the first phase of Grass Lake Farms. So our planned project by the Herald Journal, again, will include a water and sewer service line to these, past these two parcels, and then dead end, approximately right here where my cursor is. But again, there is no reason, there's no advantage to extending those west, because that development's already served. That kind of,
You used the term loop,
Yeah.
and I gathered, and so I went to a fireman's meeting last night, and a loop is kind of important to them,
that's
right?
important for their pressure, water
Right,
pressure, yeah.
and there was, this development was talked about a little bit, and there was some concern about not being a proper loop. Is that
Well-
not the case?
They were probably talking outside of their framework per se. Yes, it's looped. That's part of our engineering review on all of our projects. This project is all looped. There was a time when it wasn't, and
that's what I was going to
that's
say.
probably what
Actually,
their
prior
concern
to
was.
that 10-inch loop that we installed south of Dollar General, the fire flows were inadequate or not as high as we'd like them to be. And so that project we did a few years ago.
Prior to my time, yeah.
Yeah, installed that loop that was necessary to have adequate fire flow in the neighborhood.
So so if that whole piece gets developed, it's
Yep.
adequate. There's no additional upgrades that need to be made.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good question, though. Very good question.
Anything else for Josh? Not, thanks, Josh. Come to the open forum section of the meeting. If anybody wants to address the council, step up to the podium, name and address. Okay, they have nobody wants to talk to you guys, so we'll move on. Tom, do you have any updates or anything?
I guess I know it's part of the planning for 2023. I had a businessman approach me from the tennis courts west to County Road 1. There are 8 streetlights that are black. Do we know if that's wiring?
Yeah, when our public works staff removed the Christmas decorations, then that shorted more of those poles again. So that indicates that it is a wiring issue. We're hoping we could take care of it with ballast and bulbs and stuff, but there's definitely a wiring issue there. So we are in the process of trying to get quotes to rewire all of the streetlights. In the meantime, they're hoping they can Band-Aid that area again to get them working.
Yeah, if they could get some of them working.
Right, I
that'd
know
be
that's an issue. Now we had it fixed. Well, it won't be done in Q1. Hopefully approved in Q1, but project implementation isn't going to be till the spring likely.
If it wasn't for Glenn's, that area would be awful dark.
Yeah, Glenn talked to me the other morning, and
Absolutely.
he is, when he shows up there at 5 o'clock in the morning and that whole area is dark, he said it kind of worries him.
he doesn't have any of his own private lighting. He just relies on public lighting.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you're taking down the fence, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, why couldn't they trench and put a new line in and?
Well, that's the plan. We have to throughout the whole downtown area. What they're
Okay.
quoting.
But those lights specifically are, I mean, it's quite dark there. And
All the lights need new wiring.
Yeah.
All 3 or 4 blocks, whatever it is. Past City Hall, all the way down to Glenn's.
CR Electric's doing it,
They're trying to put together a quote for the city council.
so they understand the importance.
I have asked our public works staff numerous times, continue to get those.
Okay.
And on that note too, I do have a directional boring company that I can
Sure.
the information to give to city staff.
Okay. Good.
Jeff, you have anything?
I do not. Other than I did attend firemen's meeting last night, and I will just say this, they are a devoted bunch of people, and I was just amazed sitting and listening to them and how detail-oriented they are and how committed to the cause. And we're lucky to have a group like that on our side.
We are. Yes?
No, just touching on what Tom talked about.
Nothing.
Adam?
I just want to remind the public that there is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting at 6 p.m. on February 13th. There will be public hearings scheduled regarding the application for a rezoning of parcels, a comp plan amendment, a preliminary plat, and a planned unit development. Again, those public hearings are scheduled for February 13th at 6 p.m. The Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning Commission will host a public hearing, and then will ultimately make a recommendation to the City Council. The City Council will have final approval on those, or final review of those. Other than that, that's all that I have this evening.
Just to add on my 2 cents worth on the lights too, I think we all know that something needs to be done. Right now, we're not sure what approach we're going to take because we don't have all the problems identified yet. We know they're out, but we don't really know what the cause is. Until we figure that out, we've got to do that first. And then the hard decision is going to be, I think, allocating the money, the funds, because I don't think it's going to be a small fix. So with that, if anybody wants to make a motion for adjourn the meeting, I'd entertain that.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
We have a motion, do we have a second? We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.